Don't trust your wife. My brother didn't look at me when he said it. He just slid the small black USB across the polished kitchen counter. The plastic scraped softly against the marble, a quiet, dry sound, like a matchstick being dragged across stone. Outside, rain tapped steadily against the glass, slow, patient, the same rhythm that had been following me all night. I picked up the USB. It was warm, like it had been sitting in someone's hand for a long time. My brother leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper that barely moved the air between us. "Whatever you do, don't open it while she's home." Somewhere in the house, a clock ticked, slow, mechanical, unbothered. Tick, tick, tick. The sound felt louder than it should have. I turned the USB over in my fingers. Plain black plastic, no label, no brand, just silence. My brother walked out without another word. The front door closed softly behind him. And suddenly, the house felt different, like something invisible had already broken. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 42. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. For years, my life ran with the kind of quiet stability most people spend decades chasing. I owned a logistics company outside Chicago, Mercer Freight Systems. Nothing glamorous, just trucks, contracts, warehouses, and long hours. But it worked. By the time I turned 40, the company was worth just over $18.6 million on paper. Clean growth, no debt. 37 employees who depended on those paychecks every Friday. And my wife, Allison, had been there since the beginning. We met 14 years earlier at a corporate fundraiser. She had a calm voice, steady eyes, the kind of presence that made people feel like things were under control. She handled the company's internal finances by year 3, payroll, vendor payments, tax coordination with our accountant. I trusted her completely. Every night we ate dinner at the same oak table in the kitchen. Every Saturday morning we walked the same trail along Lake Arlington. From the outside, it looked perfect. Looking back now, there were small things, little details that didn't quite fit. Allison started staying late in the office, not every night, but often enough. Sometimes I'd wake up around 3 a.m. and notice the faint glow of her laptop downstairs. Once I asked her what she was working on. She smiled, closed the screen halfway. Just cleaning up some transfer records. I thought nothing of it then. Another time, I noticed a new encrypted folder on the accounting server. She told me it was for vendor compliance backups. Again, I let it go. Because when someone has been beside you for 14 years, you don't imagine they're quietly dismantling your life. Not until someone hands you a USB stick in the rain and whispers something that refuses to leave your head. Tick, tick, tick. The clock on our kitchen wall had always been there, but that night it sounded louder. The first crack didn't come from the USB. It came from a smell. Burnt coffee. Sharp, bitter, lingering in the office downstairs. Allison never drank coffee after midnight. Ever. She said it ruined her sleep schedule. But 3 nights after my brother left the USB, I woke up again. 3:07 a.m. The kitchen light was on. The coffee machine was still warm, and Allison's laptop was open. The screen went black the moment I stepped into the room. She closed it too fast. "Couldn't sleep," she said calmly. Tick, tick, tick. The clock above the fridge sounded louder than usual. I nodded like nothing mattered, but something had shifted. A few days later, I checked the accounting server. 3 folders had been renamed. 2 vendor IDs were suddenly missing, and $48,750 had been transferred from a dormant reserve account. The transfer authorization was Allison's login, but the timestamp said 3:12 a.m. Have you ever ignored that quiet voice in your head that keeps asking questions you don't want answered? I had, for 14 years. But that voice doesn't disappear. It just waits. So I did something I'd never done before. I bought a Logitech Circle View hidden camera. Small, black, magnetic mount. I installed it inside a bookshelf in our home office. It faced the desk where Allison handled the company accounts. The lens was smaller than a pencil eraser. Impossible to notice unless you knew exactly where to look. I turned it on, and then I waited. Tick, tick, tick. The clock never stopped. The footage started 3 nights later, February 14th, 2:58 a.m. The house was silent. Then the office door opened. Allison stepped inside, wearing a gray sweatshirt and holding her laptop. She sat at the desk. The camera caught everything. Her screen reflected in the window glass behind her. Accounting software open. 3 bank portals active. She dialed someone. Speakerphone. A man answered. I recognized the voice instantly. Mark Feldman, my company's outside investment consultant. His first words were calm. Is the transfer ready? Allison didn't hesitate. Yes, Daniel still thinks the reserve account only holds operating cash. She paused, typed something. My stomach dropped. On the screen, I could see the number clearly. $2,480,000. My hand started shaking. Mark continued. 1. Once this moves to Cayman Holdings, it's untouchable. Allison laughed quietly. The sound felt colder than anything I'd ever heard from her. Then she said the sentence that stopped the world. Relax, he'll never notice the $2.4 million transfer. My knuckles turned white around the desk edge. My chest tightened. The room suddenly felt smaller. Tick, tick, tick. The same clock echoed through the recording. She repeated it again. Relax, he'll never notice the $2.4 million transfer. Mark asked one more question. What about your husband when the audit comes? Allison didn't pause. By then, the company will already be insolvent. Daniel will spend years trying to fix it while we disappear. She clicked confirm. The transfer executed at 3:11 a.m. Account number, routing ID, transaction confirmation, everything recorded. But the video didn't end there. Allison opened another file. A list of 7 more transfers scheduled over the next 6 months. Total projected amount, $6,300,000. The screen went black. The recording ended. And I realized something worse than betrayal. This wasn't a mistake, it was a plan. But I still didn't know how deep it went. The next morning, I called Laura Chen, corporate attorney, former federal prosecutor. She had reviewed Mercer Freight's legal structure for years. Her office was quiet when I played the footage. She didn't interrupt, didn't react. When the video ended, she leaned back slowly. How many copies of this recording exist? 3, I said. Good. She opened a folder on her desk. Inside were bank statements I had never seen. Daniel, your wife didn't start this last month. She slid the papers toward me.
Unauthorized transfers. 2019, $320,000. 2021, $740,000. 2023, $1.1 million. Total confirmed theft, $2,160,000 before the Cayman transfer. Laura folded her hands calmly. Your brother contacted me 2 weeks ago. That surprised me. He suspected something? He hired a private investigator. Silence filled the room. Then she said one cold, professional line. We're dealing with financial conspiracy and interstate fraud. I nodded. What's the plan? Laura didn't hesitate. You let them think they've already.
The performance started the next night. I walked into the kitchen slowly, dropped a stack of financial papers on the table. Tick, tick, tick. The clock sounded louder than ever. Allison, I said quietly, we may have a problem. She looked up immediately. What kind of problem? Cash flow. I rubbed my temples like someone under pressure. Some accounts are missing funds. For a moment, she studied my face, measuring, calculating. Then she relaxed. Oh, Daniel, that's just temporary ledger movement. I sighed heavily. God, I hope so. The room smelled faintly of rain drifting through the open window. I leaned back in the chair, exhausted, defeated, exactly how she expected me to look. She stood and poured herself a glass of wine. Then she said the cruelest sentence I'd ever heard from her. You built a good company, but you were never smart enough to protect it. Tick, tick, tick. My voice recorder inside the light fixture captured every word. I didn't react. I just nodded slowly and waited. 2 days later, we sat in the office together. Quiet room, dim lamp, the clock ticking steadily on the wall. Allison believed the final transfer had cleared. She believed she'd already won. She leaned back in the chair confidently. You should probably start thinking about bankruptcy options. That was when I finally spoke. Calm, flat, controlled. Allison, play the recording. Her smile faded slightly. What recording? The office door opened behind her. Laura Chen stepped inside. 2 federal investigators followed. One placed a small speaker on the desk. Laura pressed play. Tick, tick, tick. Then Allison's voice filled the room. Relax, he'll never notice the $2.4 million transfer. Her face drained instantly. The color disappeared from her skin. The recording continued. Daniel will spend years trying to fix it while we disappear. Her hands started shaking. No, this is federal financial fraud, conspiracy, international wire transfer theft. One of the investigators stepped forward. Steel cuffs clicked softly. Allison's legs buckled. She grabbed the desk to stay upright. Her voice cracked for the first time. Daniel, please! I didn't answer. The cuffs closed around her wrists. The room went silent except for the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Section 8. The verdict. 18 months later, the federal court delivered its sentence. Allison Mercer received 11 years in federal prison. Mark Feldman received 9 years for financial conspiracy. Authorities recovered $4.8 million from frozen Cayman accounts. Every asset they tried to hide was seized. The company survived. Mercer Freight Systems still operates today. Same warehouse, same trucks, same quiet Friday paychecks. But my life looks different now. Smaller house, fewer people, no shared bank accounts, no unnecessary noise.
Because there's something most people misunderstand about loyalty. It doesn't break loudly. It disappears quietly, usually around 3 a.m. Tick, tick, tick. The clock in my kitchen still runs, but now I listen.